Homesteading, and today we're going to start our seeds with the collaboration with Homesteading with the Hebert'sand Homegrown Country Homestead. You know what? This is a good reason why you should be growing your own vegetables in your garden. I am not the best gardener, but this year I was going to really make a concerted effort to make my garden so much better. I started this collaboration and time got away from me. I was doing maple syrup and I'm way behind. I am going to start planting these. First, we're going to see how many of these little pots fit in one of these trays. I have a feeling that they give you more pots than these trays will hold. Wow. I should have probably known that. We'll put this over here. You get way more pots than actually fit in the tray. So it's good and bad. I wish I had enough trays to do it all. But we are going to make this happen. On one of the trays, I think I'm going to use the lid to hold the rest of them. The other one, I really do want to use it and see if the seeds germinate quicker with the lid on it. So it holds heat a little bit better. But for this one, I'm just going to use it for another tray. No, that's it. So we end up with a little extra here. We'll put this one over here. We're going fully to raised beds and we're going behind the house. There's two reasons for this. I really feel that it's necessary to make sure my garden's not out at the road. The biggest reason is it's so far away for me to water it, so that's one thing. Out near the road, I can't really keep an eye on it for any reason. If I go to raised beds, I can kind of put them close to the house and keep an eye on it, and I can water it easily. The biggest thing is watering it. Like, I mean, if I have to run a hose after work out to the garden, water it, and it's a huge space, it becomes a huge ordeal. And then you end up not doing it enough, and then the garden starts to wilt, and then you just don't want that. So you want to choose a spot that you can actually take care of it easily. And raised beds are great choices because you don't get the seeds you do when you just have it in the ground, because it can't just blow into the raised beds as easy. So raised beds are definitely a good choice, and you can choose where to put them. So you know what? I really wanted to try it with a little greenhouse and that, but I think it's better to have the two trays than use it as a greenhouse. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm running out of space. This is kind of a little bit of a warning. If you have potting mix that's kind of dry, don't breathe in the dust. This is pretty moist. So the reason being, there is spores that is in that. And if you can breathe it in, it's not good. That can actually kill you. You know that old saying, I think farmer's lung. It's farmers would breathe in dust, and some of it would just clog your lungs. But if there's spores in it, they would start growing in your lungs. And if it got real bad, it would actually kill you. So make sure you don't breathe in dust from potting mix. That's really important. They said it was for vegetables too, and it looks really, really quite good. It's got pergolite and all kinds of stuff in it. We're going to get the first tray. Okay, so I'm going to get each one. I'm going to scoop some dirt in it. You want to lightly pack it because you don't want it to be too hard of soil for the seeds to sprout good. these 4 trays. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to try to find some sort of small tray to set these on. The table doesn't matter. I made this table pretty quick. It's made out of a box. Just so I wasn't going to wreck a good piece of furniture. This year I'm going to really try to cut down on my costs. Other years I spent a lot of money on plants that were started. It seems like you go into a greenhouse and you spend $150 on some plants and whatever else that you decide to buy when you're there. So this year is going to be different. I am going to try to really do most of it myself and try to save as much money as I possibly can with this. I think we'll start off with the tomatoes. So I have tomato beefsteak. I found beefsteak tomatoes work great for canning. I've never heard too many people talk about them, but that's basically what I use because they're a fleshy tomato and there's not that many seeds and they grow to a decent size. So that's kind of what I've been using for canning, and it seems to work really well. So basically it's 7 to 14 days for germination. Seed depth is 6 millimeters. I'm going to use the little measuring tool that comes with the seed starter kit. It makes it easy because there's little increments there. So all you have to do is go along and push the same depth each one. Because if they're different depths, they will take longer to come up just because it'll take longer to grow up through the soil. We're going to throw them in my hand. A lot of seed companies say that you should plant 2 seeds to a pot, but I don't know. I don't really agree with that. I'm going to have some that probably won't come up, and I'll have an empty pot, but I find it a waste of seeds because basically when 2 comes up, you thin them after, so you cut 1 plant off, so you're losing 50% instead of whatever 3% non-germination or whatever. So I just find it a big waste. So I just plant 1 per, and I'd rather have 1 not come up at all. Okay, so I mark it and I will put it with 1 tray. We have a lot of advantages of living in this era, but we have a lot of disadvantages too, because you know what? We work so many hours that you can't actually do a lot of the stuff yourself, so you have to go and pay someone to do it. But the advantages are that you can go on the internet. You can see someone planting seeds. You can see how it comes out. YouTube is a great resource for that. YouTube is just full of people doing their thing. Sometimes they do it right, sometimes they do it wrong. But you know what? Normally you can kind of get a better view of how things go than what you see in other platforms. Okay, so now we're going to plant the green peppers. They want 7 to 14 days to germinate, 6 millimeters deep. Okay, so I have 19 pots here. I want to make sure that I get all 19 with the green peppers in them. And I have quite a few seeds in here, so I'm probably going to I'm going to plant 2 seeds per pot to make sure that they germinate fully, because I at least want 20 green pepper plants. There we go. I'm going to put this over here. What I'm going to do is plant my cucumber seeds in these. Once they sprout and they start growing, and I know that these spaces are getting a little bit too small, I will plant them into a yogurt container or something like that, so they can grow for a little bit longer before I actually put them in the garden. Ooh, these are a little harder. I went to another store because my wife loves English cucumbers, and the dollar store didn't have any. I went out and bought some, and they are English long telegraph cucumbers. So we're going to plant these. These are actually heirloom seeds. I really need to start saving seeds. You never know a year that you can't even afford to go buy some seeds. And it's not that it's huge savings, but it's kind of nice to know that you got the seeds with you, you know, and you can plant them and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of controls how much you have to spend on the garden every year. Let's see what else I got here. I got was arugula, but I don't think that needs to be started early. Doesn't look like I need to start these early. I got some kale, and I think this one does say to start early. For early crop, start indoors 6 to 8 weeks before last frost. So that sounds pretty good. That's actually about now, I think. I was looking at the last frost date, and really we don't plant here before May 24 weekend, which is our long weekend in May. So that would be perfect. So we're gonna plant some of the kale now, and most likely we're gonna plant the rest of the kale in the garden straight. So then it's gonna, the harvest will be a little bit staggered. I got all my seeds started out here, and I'm going to keep doing some updates on it as they start sprouting. This collaboration with Homesteading with the Hebert's and Homegrown Country Homestead is really fun. I kind of like to see how people just do things a little bit differently in different places in the world. So make sure you go over to Homesteading with the Hebert's and Homegrown Country Homestead. I'm going to put their links in the description of this video. So you guys have a good one.